I know you talked to the president yesterday. What can you tell us about that conversation?
Well, the president said that, as we know, that he was asking General Petraeus to serve. And by the way, we all appreciate the service that General McChrystal rendered to the country, and we wish him well. But it's also completely understandable why the president made the decision that he did, based on the civilian-military relationship, which goes a long way back, including Harry Truman. But I also pointed out to the president that, along with my strong support of General Petraeus, we need a new team over there as well, perhaps at the embassy and other areas. The relationship between civil and military is not what it should be. And also, I pointed out to the president that if he insists on a date certain, rather than conditions-based, which he continues to insist, and in a recent book, the vice president said a whole lot of people are going to be leaving the middle of 2011, then we cannot succeed.
Well,
we cannot succeed with a date certain.
Let me ask you about that. That's the July 2011 day to begin withdrawing troops from Afghanistan. Now, sources tell me that when the president spoke with General Petraeus yesterday in the Oval Office, General Petraeus reaffirmed his support for that strategy and that beginning date for withdrawal July 2007. If you support General Petraeus, why not support the strategy he's affirmed?
Because I believe that General Petraeus can do the job, and I'm convinced that General Petraeus will say at his hearings that he will give his best advice to the president as to what the conditions are at the time, probably early next year. But I know, as I knew the surge would succeed, and the surge wouldn't have succeeded if there'd been a date certain. You cannot tell the enemy when you're leaving in warfare and expect them to, and expect your strategy to be able to prevail. That's just a fundamental of warfare, and I know it just as I knew the surge would succeed when the president and the vice president and the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor all said that it would.
Let me make sure I heard you correctly. So you're saying you believe that when General Petraeus comes and testifies, he's going to argue for relaxing that deadline?
No, he is going to say that he is going to give his best advice based on conditions in Iraq, and I'm very concerned about that. Excuse me, conditions based in Afghanistan, and I'm very concerned about that ambiguity, which is sounding an uncertain trumpet, not only in Afghanistan but in other parts of that region as well.
You know, the president said that he's not going to have a change in strategy. That's one of the reasons he's chosen General Petraeus. And some are arguing that that's exactly the problem. You have this spring's offensive in March. It did not go well. General McChrystal called it a bleeding ulcer. The summer offensive in Kandahar has been put off. Casualties have been rising, and troops have been complaining that the restrictive rules of engagement are preventing progress. One called them a Taliban weapon being used against U.S. forces. Does the president need a change in policy to match the change in personnel?
I believe that the issue of a date certain for withdrawal, the Taliban are already sending out leaflets saying, hang on, that they're going to be leaving, is crucial in this situation. Just as I believe that a surge was crucial if we were going to win in Iraq. And I think that Ambassador Crocker would be, by the way, a very valued member of the team if we could bring him back as well. Are more troops needed in Afghanistan?
What's that? Are more troops needed in Afghanistan?
I believe so, particularly since our allies that we had counted on for supplying some 10,000 troops clearly are not going to do that. Only 50% of them are already there. And because of our announcement of leaving, Canadians, Poles, other countries are saying that they are planning on leaving as well. You can't do that. You got to stay the course, you got to win, and we can win, and we can succeed, but not unless we are firm that we're going to get the job done.
Okay, so bottom line from you this morning, Senator McCain, no deadline, no beginning of withdrawal in July 2011, and you want more troops.
Unless conditions warrant it. Conditions may warrant it, but it's all got to do with conditions on the ground.
Okay, Senator McCain, thanks very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, George.